Welcome to Let's Talk Learning Technology. Do you know the latest in learning technology? Matt and Walter do. From learning authoring tools and animation to virtual reality and everything in between, innovative learning groups Matt Kurtin and Walter Schirmacher geek out on all of it. Get their perspectives on the latest trends, tips and tricks, and recommendations so your learning tech keeps up with the times.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to LT Squared. I'm Matt Kurtin, Senior Director of Technology and Visual Design at Innovative Learning Group.
And I'm Walter Schirmacher, a programmer at ILG. With us today is Chrissy Richards, who is Head of North American Learning Experience at a global healthcare company, and ILG's Senior Director of Client Solutions, Gayle Holsworth. Thank you both for joining us today.
Thank you so much, Walter and Matt, for having me. I'm very excited to be talking with you today.
Thanks, you guys. This is great.
So, Gayle, why don't you start us off? I'm really excited to be talking about this today. Could you give us a description of the project as a whole and kind of our role in it?
Sure. This was great. We worked with Chrissy and within her area to design and develop a blended learning curriculum. And the goal was to really prepare the sales teams to interact with healthcare providers on a new drug launch. And we built awareness level, knowledge level training, but we also incorporated technology to provide the sales teams with opportunities to apply what they've learned. So a really good blend of awareness, knowledge, and application to really set these sales teams up to succeed. So we did 7 micro e-learning courses. We also created posters that included key points and also QR codes to scan for more information. We did a VR experience that allows participants to explore an RSV virus and how the new drug combats it. And we did a sales challenge, an AI challenge that used pre-programmed Alexa devices and actually conversed with the salespeople and asked questions about the new drug and assessed their performance. Oh, and 3D models. We included 3D models. So a really nice compilation of some great solutions to really create a great blend for these sales teams.
Chrissy, can you give us a little background on the business need for the sales launch conference?
Absolutely. And you know what, Walter, I want to take you back about maybe 4 months prior to that conference, because what we saw was we knew we had an amazing product that was coming, but we knew we had a huge need to upskill our sales force in the science of it and the clinical data of it. We have products that are amazing in the company that I work for. Many of them are older. So our sales force wasn't really asked to sell this type of new and innovative product before. So when Gayle said 7 micro learnings, I want you to let that sink in. 7 is a lot, right? And to go to the business and say, we are going to create 7 e-learnings for our sales force to take one after another to upskill them in what we believe is going to help them to be successful. You can imagine what we were told. Way too much. Why are you doing this? No one has time. But working with Gayle and her team, we said, okay, we get it. We still feel passionate about it. Let's make this work. And that's why I love working with ILG, to be completely transparent and honest. They work with us. It's a true partnership to really throw ideas at each other. So we said, okay, no more than 15 minutes. Some are even going to be shorter. Short, targeted, specific learnings, one topic at a time that built on each other. And the best part is, at the end of it, we said, this is great. We know people walk away from these types of learnings and they don't remember. This is pivotal to our success. What can we do? So what did we do? ILG said, well, we can create a printable PDF for you attached to every e-learning so that we could literally have our sales force walking around with a 1-pager that was specific to the exact information they needed to have. So that's what started our learning journey. And it really was a journey. It was a short journey. We would have liked to have much longer to get all of this done. But within a few months, if not, I think 2, we had 7 e-learnings literally through our approval process and ready to be launched one after another. It was an extremely successful part of our project. And because we did that, we went into internally a virtual training week where we didn't really know what we can train them in, because we were expecting a license and the license didn't come exactly when we thought we'd get it. Well, because we had those e-learnings as building blocks, we were able to say, okay, everyone now has this amount of knowledge. Let's go make it fun. So my team created a virtual game using all of the knowledge from the e-learnings, helping pull it through. So we went from a situation where we had no idea what to do, and we said, okay, let's use what we have. So again, it just shows the partnership and how working together on those short targeted learnings helped us be extremely successful. And then you take the journey down the road a little bit, and we knew we were going to have an in-person launch, new, innovative, in our opinion, first and best in class product. We wanted it to feel that way. So that's where all of those other pieces Gayle talked about got brought in. And it's funny she brought up Alexa, because Alexa was actually imagined by Matt. I came to ILG and said, I have a need. This is like my favorite way to even start talking to Gayle. And usually the need is something crazy, right? I said, I want the ability to do something with our sales force utilizing AI. At that time, ILG didn't have the solution that I thought I needed. Okay, that's totally fine. The best part is we didn't stop there. Matt said, okay, why don't we start talking about what you're trying to do? From that, he said, well, you know what I can do for you? I can go get all of these little Alexas. They weren't little though, Matt. If you remember, they were pretty heavy. We were walking them around the site. Let's use Alexas and we can have short targeted questions, again, based on those 7 micro e-learnings. Alexa asked our Salesforce questions to gain points in a very elaborate certification game that we created for the Salesforce. So that amazing idea was actually delivered based on an ask of something you couldn't do. And that's my favorite part of your company. It's never a no. It's a, okay, not yet, but how else can we support you? What else can we do?
Question for you, Chrissy, because a lot of times I would probably ask my client, were you starting to get worried that you wouldn't be able to pull this off with the VR and the Alexa and so on? So knowing you, I'm going to ask instead the question, what is it that gives you the courage to not be worried as we move through? Because we love doing it and we'd love to do more of this type of work. What is it that let you move forward and explore these types of solutions?
It's funny. My boss asked me the same thing. She said, when we were getting close, everybody was worried but you. Why is that? And I think it has a lot to do with the planning phases, the touch points throughout, how we keep each other really informed. I knew when you were finishing with a download. I knew when you were shipping something. I knew when you were landing at the airport, I think, Matt and Gayle, to help and support us at the launch. It's that type of partnership and communication throughout the entire project in any way that I work and everyone that I work with, but specifically for you in this project, that gives me the confidence to say, we're going to try these new things. And guess what? You know what else? It's okay if they're not perfect. It's okay if they're not perfect because it's new and we're learning. And that's, guess what? Our whole job, right? As learning professionals, if we're not going to be willing to take those thoughtful risks, no one else is going to be willing to do it with us. So we went in, we had an Alexa that didn't work. Matt had to run across a resort in Phoenix, and who even knows how hot that day was, to fix it quickly, and no big deal. We fixed it, we moved on. I mean, and that was the one blip of the entire day. To say it was a success is an understatement. We are extremely proud of the work that we were all able to do. And I mean, even in the ability of our CEO was coming to launch, and everyone was throwing out really great ideas of what we can do with our CEO to make it cool and splashy. And then, of course, like any good launch, we ran out of money. And I said, I have an idea and it's free. Let's create a video of all of the innovative learning modalities we brought to launch for your sales force. And I know that many of you from ILG will know this because there's a little snippet of a video. But when our CEO wore that VR headset to show the science of the virus and the innovative product and how they work together, he literally said that it was one of the most innovative things he's seen, that he's seen VR, but it wasn't anything like what he just experienced. And so what an amazing compliment to come from the CEO of a healthcare company as we saw. And he was willing to try it. You know, VR headset goes on, hair goes everywhere. He was completely open to the experience. And I think it goes again to that thoughtful risk-taking approach that we in our company have, and love to partner with companies like yours because you help us be successful in that.
So going back to the point you made about the Alexas, you're right. They weren't the little Echo Dots. They were the big Alexa studios. And a part of making that work out okay is we knew that we needed 11 of them. So we brought 13 just in case, and we were able to swap in one of the spares. But you were right. It was hot hauling it over there that day and getting it set up quickly. What were some of your favorite parts about the Alexa quiz and or the VR experience in terms of how they met the participants' needs, or what were the best reactions you got?
Yeah, thinking about the Alexa specifically was so super fun watching everyone interact with it. And we kept it simple. So you couldn't ask it just anything. But when you asked Alexa for your quiz question, you got all sorts of different pre-programmed quiz questions. So our sales rep really had to be on top of their game to answer and get the right amount of points from it. And that was a really fun part too, that you helped us find a solution for. If you can imagine, we had this elaborate game and we were tallying up points throughout. So if you get 5 questions right versus 4, it's a different amount of points. And we were struggling with the way to do that. And so it was ILG that came up with the idea of using QR codes that our individuals can scan on their phones, and it all went into that tally, and it was pre-calculated. And then we ended up with winners from each of our divisions. So it was just really, really a fun, amazing experience that we would have spent hours just sitting around tables practicing a message. Instead, we spent hours, running around a huge resort in Phoenix looking for almost like clues and different quiz questions to answer and things like that. So it totally changed the dynamic of launch. It was something that we'd never done before. And yes, it was a risk. It was a little bit more complex than I think a lot of people thought we could handle. But guess what? We pulled it off, and everyone really felt the difference, which was what we were going for.
And I would add that Matt and I loved being part of the VR hub, if you will, to see everybody's reaction when they put the headsets on. And there were people who'd never done VR. There were people who had gamed with their kids, but this was totally different. But I pulled some of the quotes that we gathered from that experience. Great to actually see this and interact with it. It was amazing. If we brought this to doctors, we would rock. We need more of this type of experience. You see everything so clearly and are immersed in it. People just really engaged and loved doing it and would come back multiple times. So it was great. A lot of great feedback.
Yeah, Gayle, I completely agree. And think about it. You're a sales rep and you're out in the field selling a new product, right? In this, you saw the mechanism of action of exactly how your product works against the virus that you're trying to protect against. So how powerful is that now in your knowledge base when you're talking to a doctor? You understand the mechanism of action of your product. You've seen it. You've touched it in some ways. And that's how the 3D models were so amazing as well. They were able to touch that virus. You really get the sense for how complex it is. Now, I can't say it made it home with me because our head medical personnel stole it, but he did so much work to help us with everything along the way. We happily let that happen. But again, it speaks to how cool and how innovative the whole process was that our head doctor was like trying to walk away with our RSV model.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's really interesting because so many innovations come about from having a need and having that pressure to really come up with a solution. It's one thing to come up with, we need something and we'll come up with something. And it's another one, we really have to come up with something because we have like short time, short budget, it's that kind of pressure that can really help hone in on things and really drive change and really help to come up with these kind of fun things. So yeah, I always really enjoy seeing when those kind of things happen. What would you do even more? Like we had this great experience. If you were going to do it again, and for the next great big huge product launch, would you take the same thing and build on it, or would you come up with something even cooler?
So I'm a huge believer in continuous improvement, so I couldn't possibly do the same thing again, Walter. Gaming, the gamification of it really helps learning stick. So I would want something like that also involved. Parts of the game that we built for the actual launch conference, we would probably keep. We didn't speak about this, but we use senior leaders in our organization acting as customers. And so what a cool experience for a young sales rep to go talk to, the head of sales and things like that. So I think there's parts that we would pull in, but I would want to know what Matt had up his sleeve for me down the road with technology that I'm sure I would not understand until he told me it existed and told me how easy it was to use.
I don't know if I would do anything differently. I loved the process of the brainstorming. I loved the back and forth. I loved how it excited all of us to kind of think about these things and how do we bring it to life? Like, how do we make it happen? It's great to talk about it, but now what? And to your point, Chrissy, I think a good plan gets us there, even though we knew it was a short time frame. Honestly, I just feel seeing it come to life in Phoenix and how everybody just got completely engaged and motivated and excited. It was really quite a sight to see.
Yeah, it was amazing. I've been with my company for 20 years now, and it is definitely right now the highlight. I don't know that I'll ever get to work on something like this again, because how often do you launch an innovative brand new product? So I'm so grateful for the opportunity. And Walter, you basically described our entire project in the way you said, short time, short budget, no budget sometimes. So I think that in that, yes, it was exciting, but boy, would we have liked a little bit more time, I think, when literally it's day before. We have to launch this tomorrow for all of our e-learnings and things like that. So I'm sure Gayle and Denise would have loved a little bit more lead time, but it just speaks volumes to the work product that comes from ILG, because we were able to really, you would never look at those pieces of work and think they were done in an extremely short amount of time. And that really is the icing on the cake for me. And it really shows the volume you can handle and the extraordinary work product that you deliver.
I feel the same way, that it was a highlight of my career working on the project. And one of the things that I remember most is arriving at the conference and seeing the branding on the entrance to the hotel and in the conference rooms matching up with the branding that we used inside the VR experience, and feeling like this is it. This is what you live to develop. So thank you so much for taking the time to share with us today. Really appreciate the podcast here, but more importantly, working with you on the project. What a great collaboration.
Yep, the partnership really is so appreciated, and it was such a fun and engaging project, and great to get the sales teams excited and ready for the launch. And that, VR is not a one and done. It's always part of something bigger and part of a curriculum that kind of it's the culmination. And it was just great to see it all come to life. So thank you, Chrissy.
Oh, I am so grateful to all of you. And thank you for the time for letting me come and talk about it, because it was an amazing experience and you helped us be successful. So I am more than happy to talk all day about all of you.
This has been such a great conversation. Thank you, Chrissy, and thank you, Gayle.
Thank you.
Thank you, Matt, for the opportunity. And it was very nice to meet you, Walter.
Thank you. It was nice to meet you too. We've posted resources at the bottom of this episode's page if you want to learn more about what we talked about today. If you have any learning technology topics you'd like us to talk about, Matt and I are on LinkedIn. You can also send us an email at marketing@innovativelg.com. Thank you for listening.